Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers matching the description of a suspect, officer chain of communication, and eyewitness testimony, and is brought to us by Sheriff Mike Chitwood's Facebook page. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Before we dive into the interaction, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this episode, Surfshark. With a Surfshark subscription, you'll gain access to an array of additional features along with your VPN service. One of the best Surfshark features is Whitelister, which gives you the ability to make only some of your traffic travel through the VPN tunnel, while allowing specific websites and services to reach the internet directly. The big upside of Whitelister is that you don't need to constantly connect and disconnect from the VPN when you're using different services. If you're having trouble accessing certain apps and websites because of your VPN, such as banking websites or cloud storage, simply add them to the split tunneling list and they'll use the internet as if you didn't have a VPN at all. And the apps and websites not on Whitelister will still benefit from the usual levels of VPN protection. Right now, Surfshark is offering the ATA community an 83% discount with additional 3 months completely free. With 24-hour customer service and a 30-day money-back guarantee, you have absolutely nothing to lose. So click the link in the description to claim your exclusive offer now. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring this episode. On August 27, 2020, former Army Staff Sergeant and hospital ICU manager Joseph Griffin was jogging along a large thoroughfare a few blocks from his home in Deltona, Florida. Approximately 5 minutes into the jog, a deputy of the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, whose name has not been released, made contact with Mr. Griffin.
Hey, buddy. If you're not in any trouble or anything, there is a burglary that happened. You kind of fit the description. Let me just make sure that you're non-M, okay? All right.
I'm a vet. I have my ID.
Okay. Can I see your ID? Yeah. You literally, they said white tank top, black shorts, and they said that you had a beard. All right. So I'm not saying it's you, but it was a black male. Again, not saying it's you, buddy.
The case law regarding whether matching the description of a suspect constitutes reasonable suspicion is scarce, but the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which presides over Florida, has explored this topic in the past. In the 2017 case of United States versus Felix, the appeals court agreed with the district court's interpretation and affirmed that, quote, stopping an individual who matches the description of an armed robber in relative close proximity to the crime scene within 10 minutes of the crime occurring and patting them down for weapons is well within the bounds of the Fourth Amendment and Terry. There are strong parallels between the Felix case and Mr. Griffin's detainment, but one element of this stop that the court would likely have to consider is the seriousness of the crime Mr. Griffin is suspected of. Mr. Griffin matches the description of a suspect who allegedly stole a leaf blower from a nearby house, but in the Felix case, the court was dealing with a violent crime involving firearms. All that said, the Terry doctrine is based on rational inferences drawn from both the observed facts of the officer and their experience, and the court acknowledged that in the Felix case by stating that an officer is permitted to seize a suspect for a brief investigatory stop if the stop was, quote, reasonably related in scope to the circumstances which justified the interference in the first place. Detaining citizens because they match the description of a suspect is a routine practice, and it is in line with the rational inference structure of the Terry case. When an individual matches the description of a suspect and is within a reasonable vicinity of the crime scene, it is likely that a court would uphold a stop based on reasonable suspicion.
All right, buddy. Listen, just bear with me, okay? Because you fit the description. I'm not saying you're guilty, but my sergeant's telling me to detain you. That's my sergeant.
I got you. I just had a daughter born 2 days ago, so I just have this online.
It's live?
I'm not
Do you mind setting it down here?
Yeah.
Okay. Look, I'll place it for you. Okay.
Right.
Just for now, I'm gonna detain you. Look, you're not under arrest. I'm detaining you right now because you fit the description. Okay. Just hang tight for me. Okay, buddy. Nope, these are just black.
Y'all better raise hell.
Again, buddy, you're not under arrest. It's just that you fit the description. They're gonna verify for me. Look. I even put you where. Look, okay.
Right, y'all better raise hell.
Yep. And by the way, look, I'm live too. I even got recorded.
Where you driving from, bud? 522 South Annapolis Drive. That's one of my homes. I own a couple of homes down here.
Oh, okay. Again, like I told you, we're not saying it's you, but you fit the description. That's why I'm detaining you.
got you.
If it's not you, we're gonna cut you loose and you're free to go, okay? But I just want you to see through us why, you know, literally they stole something right now and we just want to verify it's not you, okay?
I'm not doing anything.
You don't gotta be scared. You good.
It's just a lot going on today.
Yep. I know. Buddy, look, we're the same.
I know.
We're the same. You know me.
I know.
I'm gonna take care of you. Relax. I got you, buddy. Did 40 say camo shorts? Because I told them his just have they're completely black. I mean, they have army on the side, but.
It is extremely important to consider the practical implications associated with the chain of communication that members of law enforcement work with every day in order to fully grasp why this stop was initiated. There are grand psychological and philosophical theories associated with the distortion of information as it is passed from one receiver to the next. And as a message is passed through various points of communication, the information within that message becomes progressively less reliable and exact. Each time a message is recorded, whether it be input into a device or passed from human to human, some measure of its original meaning is lost. This idea epitomizes the theory of information distortion and is unavoidable to some degree. A prime example of this theory is an exercise that is performed in many elementary schools known as the whisper game. In the exercise, the instructor whispers a message to one of the students, who then whispers that message to the next student. And this ritual continues until the message has been relayed through all of the students in the class. As the message passes from student to student, minute details become distorted. And when the final student says the message out loud, it is much different than what the instructor said to the first student. The chain of police communication is not exempt from detriments of information distortion, and even highly organized forms of communication often degrade the integrity of complex messages. When a citizen dials 911 and speaks to a dispatcher, that creates one link in the chain. The dispatcher then types the pertinent details into a computer, creating another link. The officer then reads the message through his computer, and another link is formed. Then the officers update one another as the incident is responded to, adding to the distortion. Oftentimes, there are multiple callers, which create entirely new chains of communication that all add to the entropy of the messages. Mr. Griffin's stop thoroughly demonstrates the imperfections of police communication because, as the West Volusia Beacon reported, the original 911 caller described the suspect as a black male wearing a white tank top, flip-flops, and a black hat. And as you can see by this footage of the officers apprehending the correct suspect, even that description was somewhat inaccurate. Police officers are subject to the very same psychological tribulation that plague us all. And although there are likely areas of police communication that could be improved, Mr. Griffin's stop was a byproduct of an inherent disconnect between the senders and receivers of any message.
Sounded like wrong place, wrong time, man.
That's what I was telling him, literally. If he's free to go, if he's not the one, we'll cut him loose.
Yeah, man, we're gonna work something out real quick. Get somebody come over here real quick, just make sure. But the good news is they come off as easy as they go on. So that's it. And I apologize for the inconvenience. But hey, everything going on is just a little bit scary.
Yep.
Nah, you're good, man.
This is it was a burglary. It's a burglary. It's serious. It's not a joke. Yep. We don't know that for sure, though. You know what I mean? See, that's what I'm trying to say. See it through us. See it through our eyes.
So you got these guys that are getting ready to go home, and we're coming in. So that's why you have so many. Whoever did it picked about the worst time they could possibly do it. Because there's about 30 of us right here in the city of Arizona right now. So.
As the officers explain why they stopped Mr. Griffin and assure him that he will be released as soon as they confirm that he was not involved, this patrol vehicle slowly drives by Mr. Griffin and the officers. Inside the vehicle was one of the witnesses to the crime. This is a common tactic that police officers use to confirm whether they have apprehended the right suspect, but the efficacy of this procedure is dubious. Research has found that the reliability of eyewitness testimony can be extremely questionable, and although the witness may appear confident in their recollection, the very nature of human memory and visual perception can be capricious. Since the 1960s, social scientists have demonstrated that the accuracy of eyewitness testimony is sometimes fickle, and it wasn't until the court began utilizing DNA evidence in the early 90s that the problem became fully realized. In 2014, the National Academy of Sciences released a comprehensive report that reviewed a litany of studies associated with eyewitness testimony. The the report acknowledged that it is a complex problem that is deeply rooted in human psychology and suggests solutions that could be employed to mitigate the impact of human error. Many studies have been conducted to examine the legitimacy of eyewitness reports, and most of them have concluded that the testimony of eyewitnesses is highly circumstantial and easily manipulated. Nonetheless, officers still rely on witnesses to ensure that they capture the correct suspect, and luckily for Mr. Griffin, the witness in the back of the patrol car confirmed that he was not the suspect they were after.
So good news for you. The witness is saying that the clothes you're wearing and all that doesn't fit the description.
Oh, we got her in the back of that car.
Yeah, it's called a show up. So we got a picture. Again, he's gonna run it through, make sure it's not you, and from what it looked like, buddy, you'll be out of here, okay?
What's your name, man?
Joseph.
Joseph. Hey, man, listen, Jake. Just want to say thank you for keeping a cool, good demeanor. We just got the picture finally from the witness, and I get why they went out with you for sure. Clearly not you, but the clothing description and everything matched. So obviously these guys didn't have that to go with. They just had a description and he matched it pretty good. But once we finally got the picture from the video surveillance and stuff, it was like, nah, that's not it. That's why I told him, like, get him out of here.
That was just sent out by email, doesn't matter.
I appreciate you being cool and understanding that, man.
After confirming that Mr. Griffin was not the suspect, he was released, and the Deltona officers left the scene without further incident. Once Sheriff Chitwood released the body camera footage of the incident, several news outlets picked up the story. After circulating through the media, Sheriff Chitwood offered Mr. Griffin a job with the Volusia County Sheriff's Office and invited him to speak at a series of upcoming implicit bias training workshops for the department's staff. Mr. Griffin accepted the sheriff's offer, and the training is set to begin on October 9th. In his Facebook post that accompanied the release of the footage, Sheriff Chitwood stood by the actions of his officers and praised Mr. Griffin's demeanor and cooperation by stating, quote, "Everyone involved in this deserves recognition for a job well done. Thank you again to every deputy and to Joseph Griffin, and to all of you who can see that both perspectives deserve a look." Overall, the Volusia deputies get an A+ for carrying out their duties efficiently and respectfully, remaining within the bounds of their authority throughout the encounter, and for taking all the necessary steps to conclude that Mr. Griffin was innocent. The adage of being in the wrong place at the wrong time bears significant merit within the context of this stop. And although it is unfortunate that Mr. Griffin was detained for a crime he did not commit, that does not render the stop illegitimate. The Supreme Court has routinely championed the notion that the Fourth Amendment accepts the fact that sometimes innocent individuals will be stopped under suspicion of committing a crime. And the narrative of Mr. Griffin's story would have been much different if he had been guilty of a crime, but not stopped and questioned. Members of law enforcement operate under a high degree of scrutiny and are often placed in awkward situations that offer no favorability from the public, regardless of how well they execute their duties. I commend the Volusia County deputies for their devotion to maintaining a positive relationship with their community. And I commend Sheriff Chitwood for turning this interaction into a learning experience for all those involved and cultivating a progressive dialogue with Mr. Griffin and the citizens of Volusia County as a whole. Mr. Griffin also gets an A+ for remaining calm and cooperative throughout the encounter, voicing his concerns about the stop in a respectful manner, and accepting the sheriff's offer to participate in the implicit bias workshops, effectively adding to the positive narrative surrounding the interaction. Mr. Griffin expertly handled himself both during and after this encounter, and his ability to maintain his composure is exceptional. It should also be noted that Mr. Griffin refrained from speaking throughout the majority of the encounter, but balanced his silence with a hospitable attitude. Mr. Griffin's willingness to work with the Volusia County deputies is distinctly admirable, and it demonstrates his commitment to his community. I commend Mr. Griffin for handling this interaction perfectly and acting as a quasi-liaison for his community. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more police interaction content.